What is the dumbest, most clueless customer you have ever dealt with? Thank you for calling Starbucks. This is Jeff. How can I help you? Yes, where are you located? We're at the corner of Main and Magnolia. And where is that? Do you know where Main Street is? Yes. Do you know where Magnolia Avenue is? Yes. That's where we are. Well, I'm standing at that intersection and I can't find your store. Is it underground or something? Looks out the window and sees a woman who looks lost. Ma'am, turn to your left. Do you see a man in a green apron waving at you? Begins waving at her. Yes. That man is inside a Starbucks. Go there. That's not Starbucks. That's Quiznos. Ma'am, I'm very confident I'm in a Starbucks right now. You're not very helpful. Click. Why would I want to go towards where that waving man is? I don't even know him. He's talking on the phone with someone. He must be busy. I should come back later. I work in the print center at Staples. Some older lady brought in her laptop and asked if I could print an email off for her. She booted it up and proceeded to get angry because her internet wasn't working. I explained that she would need to connect to our store Wi-Fi to work. No, that was unacceptable and made no sense. She didn't have to do that at home. And started yelling at me that I did something to her computer to delete her internet? I hadn't even touched her computer at this point. She pushes her laptop toward me and says, "Fine, you do it then." I connected her to our Wi-Fi. Oh God, her computer was a mess. Her desktop was completely covered in icons. And gave it back to her so she could get to her email. "See, this is my internet. I told you." She half mumbles this in irritation. Now, she doesn't know where her email is. Usually it's automatically on there. I ask her what email she uses. Gmail? Yahoo? Hotmail? She looks at me like I'm stupid. Why does that matter? At this point I'm getting pissed off. I have several other customers waiting on me. I mess around on her bookmarks, hoping that it was on there somewhere. Thank God it was. I connected her to the Comcast email site. She doesn't know her fucking password. After a few botched password guesses, she decides to call her son to ask him. I help the other customers while she does this. I come back and she gives me the correct password. I get into her email. She doesn't remember which email it was. I'm going one by one in her inbox. Nope. She then tells me it was from a few months ago. Are you fucking kidding me? I had to sift through 3 months of spam to find it. It was a fucking expired spa coupon. I pointed out that it was expired and she waved it off and told me to print it out. I explained that I would need to transfer it to a flash drive to print off from our computer. She tells me that it should print off from her computer. That's what it does at home. I have a headache at this point. Then, the Windows Update thing pops up. I ignore it while I'm trying to transfer the file over. What are you doing? You can't ignore that. She pulls the laptop toward her and presses Update, which requires it to shut down. No, she didn't postpone it for 4 hours. She does it for right now. I am fucking pissed off at this point. The computer turns off and she turns it back on and lets the 100 plus updates proceed. She's there for at least another hour letting it update before giving up and leaving. She didn't even get her fucking coupon. Edit. Sorry for offending some people. In my experience, and from what I've dealt with at work, 95% of the time, it's the older folk that I have trouble dealing with when it comes to anything computers. Edit 2. For people asking, I always try to be very patient when dealing with customers like this. I try my best to remember that not everyone is great with technology and computer savvy like many of us here are. That's why I didn't blow up on her and or refuse to help her. She tested my patience, but I remained polite and patient when helping her. I just wish customers like this, when asking me to help them, would actually let me help them instead of acting like they know everything when they are the ones asking me for help. I was getting pissed just reading that story. Why was she even in Staples if she has a home printer? If she can't figure out internet, email, browsers, login names and passwords, or wireless internet, I'm pretty sure inkjet printers are black magic to her. Black, magenta, cyan, and yellow magic. I didn't have to deal with it, but it was amusing listening to a waiter at an IHOP try to explain to a customer why they couldn't order never-ending pancakes to go. People do this crap a lot, especially in all-you-can-eat buffets. They think they can go and grab as much food as they can hold on their way out. A lot of buffets do let you get takeout though, they just sell it by the pound. IHOP should invent a dish called pounds of pancakes, and then people could get them to go because they just charge by the pound. Worked at Best Buy about 4 years ago for a summer. A lady came in insisting that her son wanted a PlayStation 3. Then she saw the Wii steering wheel and said, "That will work with the PlayStation, right?" I told her that the Wii is a different console made by a different company, so no, it wouldn't work. She snidely says, "Oh, so I have to buy a whole different console from you guys just for it to work? Typical." Then she adds, "But you gotta make commission somehow, right?" and walks away. I hate when older technologically illiterate people get frustrated with their lack of knowledge and then start blaming the system, or in this case, hungry salespeople. Working at a bookstore. Customer: "Do you sell the Bible here?" Me: "Yes, we do. Which version would you like?" Customer: "The Bible." Me: "Yes, I understand. Which version?" Customer: "The one Jesus wrote." My wife's aunt, around 50 years old, was talking about the Bible and she quoted a piece of passage wrong. I asked her what version of the Bible she had. "The only one written by Jesus, of course." Her grandmother, 99 years old, hardcore Catholic, said she was quoting the New International Version of that verse. "I like the King James Version, but who knows what the original version of the verse was?" The aunt replied, "But it's in the Bible." And the grandma schooled her. "There are a lot of versions of the Bible. The New International Version was published when you were a kid, the 70s. The King James Version, which I enjoy, was published in the 1600s. Stunned room full of fundies. Edit. This is her dad's side of the family. They are terrible people. Absolutely horrible human beings. I used to work at Radio Shack and I had a lady come in and ask for a radio capable of getting broadcasts from the Middle East. I showed her a few, she purchased it, and asked me to help her tune it. I found some stations from various Middle Eastern sources, tuned them as she stood there with this puzzled look on her face. I asked what was wrong and she looked at me with this seriously grim expression and said, "How am I supposed to track terrorists if they don't speak American?" Without speaking, I refunded her money and went on the only smoke break I've ever taken. I don't smoke, so I just ate French fries. Lady called in to tell me that her computer had been taken over by the Matrix. I asked her to move her mouse. "OMG! It's back to my normal desktop screen. What happened?" "Ma'am, someone installed a Matrix screensaver on your computer. Anything else I can help you with today?" One time after ringing up a customer I told him his total. He said okay, and just sat there, expecting me to do something else. I waited a few seconds and said the total again and asked if it was going to be cash or credit. He looked at me like I had two heads. I waited again and said, Are you going to pay for all of this or were you just wondering how much it costs?" "Happens a lot more than you think." He gets all huffed up and says in a loud voice, "I was waiting for you to tell me the total." I was stunned and really was at a loss for words. Another customer behind him apparently got fed up and told him, "She told you 3 damn times." He paid and booked it. As a former cashier myself, I really appreciate customers that call out other customers for being stupid, because we were not allowed to. And that is exactly why I do that. I know if you did it, you'd probably get fired. Yeah, don't yell at the customer. Even if they make you want to tear your eyes out. Your manager, on the other hand, can come over and say, "Get the fuck out of my store." The manager can tell the person to leave, but from my experience, angry customers usually get rewarded for being rude. And then the cashier gets to look like an ass. When working at Walmart Electronics around 8 years ago, I dealt with a sudden torrent of people returning wireless products. They were furious that these devices needed to be plugged in to charge. I had customers insisting that the other employees said their phone, keyboard, controller, etc. would absorb electricity from sockets as they walked around the house. We had to put up "Wireless devices do not charge wirelessly" signs around the entire department. This happened just the other day. 2 middle-aged women come up to my counter and order their drinks. After ringing them up, I tell them their total, and they tell me that they're going to wait for their friend to pay. Perfectly fine. I tell them their drinks will be waiting for them when they're ready. I finish making their order pretty quick and place their drinks by the register. 5 minutes pass and they come up asking if their drinks are done yet. I said yes, just been waiting for them to pay, and they proceed to flip out saying how they were just planning on coming back and paying with their friend. So essentially they wanted me to give them free drinks, and trust that they'd come back to pay. I do not think so, crazy eye patch lady and company. I do not think so. Edit, I work at a coffee shop. They sound like a couple of sneaky pirates to me. If I install 32-bit Windows twice, will it become 64-bit? That conversation lasted 2 hours. If I watch the movie 300 twice, am I watching a new movie called 600? Nah bro, 600 is the sequel. I can't wait until 150 comes out. I'll finally know more of the backstory. I barely understood 300. LOL, there were so many characters. I was like, what? LOL. If these t-shirts are buy one get one free, why can't I just have the free one? I once had a customer bring back a laptop she bought the day before claiming it was broken. She said it wouldn't open. I asked her if it was Windows not loading up or a program not opening. She said the laptop itself wouldn't physically open. I took it out of the box, opened it up, and just looked at her. Her mouth fell open. She looked at me and said, "Oh, it opens that side. Me and my sister tried for an hour to open it up last night and couldn't." She had been trying to open it from the hinge side. I once had a customer service rep call me to the front of the store because a couple were screaming at her, saying that I sold them the wrong game for their console. I went up to the front, and they shifted their screaming back and forth between the two of us, but it was mainly directed at me, because I was apparently a greedy salesperson who purposely sold them a game that was incompatible with the Nintendo DS, that I had also sold them, just so I could roll around in my filthy lucre while cackling away at their misfortune. Anyway, in between the yelling, I managed to glean from them that their issue was that the game cartridge wouldn't actually fit into the console. So I picked up the game cartridge and slid it into the machine with no problems. They both shut up and stared at it for a second. The wife began to yell at me again, something about tricking them and making them look bad, while the husband shushed her and apologized. He explained that they had gone home and handed the whole lot to their 4-year-old to figure out, but their 4-year-old kept trying to put the cartridge in backwards. Apparently it never occurred to them to look into the matter themselves, as their toddler had things well in hand, and the obvious conclusion was that I had sold them the wrong thing. On purpose. Well, it looks like I found the thread I'm going to be checking all day at work. In high school, I worked in a pizza place. An elderly woman called in one day and said that her grandkids were coming for the weekend and their mother had suggested pizza for dinner. She called us up and asked, "What exactly is pizza?" This led to a 40-minute phone call in which I tried to explain all this to someone who lacked even a basic concept of pizza. What was. This included how you order, explaining each individual topping, popular combinations, and how to serve it to the kids. When she came in to pick up her order, she still looked completely confused by what a pizza was. She kept peeking into the box to try and figure it out. Back in my Best Buy days, a woman came in complaining that her iPod had a virus. I turn it on and it's working fine. She says it only appears when she connects it to her PC, so I hook it up to our machine. It connects and the "Do not disconnect" message appears, complete with red "No" symbol. There! That's the virus! What does that mean? I worked fast food and a customer wanted a cheeseburger, medium fry, and medium drink. I said okay, I will ring you up a #1 combo meal. This angered the lady who told me that she didn't want the combo meal, just a medium drink, a medium fry, and a cheeseburger. I told her that it would be the same order but this would save her money. But she got even more furious, so I politely punched them in separately. When I was working internet tech support, I had a customer call us up because his net wasn't working. He said he hooked everything up but the damn thing just won't let me email. He then said, "The cable you sent me was too damn big." I told him that shouldn't be the case, and he said he had to resize it to make it fit into his computer. After a little more questioning, I found out he just took the box that had his network card, his modem, and most importantly that CD with a huge red sticker on it that says, "Run this first before setting up equipment," and chucked all that stuff aside. He then took out the Ethernet cable, tried to plug it into his 56K modem. When it didn't fit, he took a knife and carved it down to make it fit. I just kind of sat there as he was furious because his service didn't work and we sent him useless equipment. When he finally let me get a word in, I told him he was supposed to run the CD and use all of that other equipment. He said he didn't want the service anymore and told us to cancel it, but I told him he signed a contract and I could set up an appointment for him for a technician to come out. He wasn't interested. I hated that job sometimes. A client once asked how much it cost the plasma truck to come out and refill his plasma TV. Remember to donate plasma. My friend works customer service at Canadian Tire. The other day someone tried to return a flashlight, claiming it wouldn't light up. My friend looked down at the flashlight. It was a hose nozzle. I have a good clueless one, with naked pics, too. I used to work in the help desk of a university in PA. It was the start of the fall semester, so we were full with new students trying to get their PCs through network registration, need AV, updates, etc. I get one girl who is cute and friendly, and I start up her PC and go to work. She's sitting across the counter from me. I can see that she's at least tried to do the process herself, so I ask her if I can poke around for the reg install file. She tells me yes. I check downloads, documents, desktop. Nothing. I ask her if I can check her recycling bin, to which she says yeah, but there's nothing in it. There was something in it. Dozens of nude photos of her, and nothing else. The look on my face, 0_0, must have given it away, because she instantly turned all red and whispered something like, "I thought it automatically deletes when you put something in there?" I showed her how to delete her recycling bin, fixed the issue, and sent her on her way. Bonus: 1 year earlier a coworker was doing the same thing for a girl, but had to check her computer in. He put it on the back bench, opposite the counter, with the screen facing outward. Her screensaver was just pulling anything from her pictures folder, and sure enough her nudes started popping up, facing the crowd of freshmen waiting for their computers. Only took a few seconds for a student worker to close the screen and give it back to her, but she was super embarrassed. Hide yo pics, ladies. While working at Disney, I got asked what time the 3 o'clock parade started. I had to answer with that famous Disney smile. I was at a snack bar for my pool one summer, and a woman asked me, "What end of a hot dog are you supposed to look through?" I work for a bank, and customers will sometimes call to ask how they can access their account online and do online banking. I told this older woman to go to bankname.com. She started yelling and cursing at me that I made her go into her email, and that she can't believe I'm reading her emails. I tried explaining to her that I can't see her computer as we're talking over the phone, and she probably just got into her email because it was her home page or the last page she viewed. She wanted nothing of it. No matter how many times I kept asking her to find the address bar and type bankname.com, she said that it kept bringing her back to her email. The conversation lasted 45 minutes. She was yelling the entire time. I pretty much wanted to shoot myself in the head. I worked Geek Squad once, and a customer told me his iPod gave his Jeep a virus, and that's why he was having engine trouble now. I work at a sandwich shop. I'm not that hungry. Which is bigger, the half sandwich or the whole sandwich? Worked at EB Games when I was 18, in a city in Canada known for its rednecks. A man in his 40s came in and spent at least 3 hours browsing every single title on the wall. He refused my help several times and eventually came up to the counter with 5 brand new games on almost every system we carried. After ringing in his selection of Cabela's hunting, NASCAR racing, and UFC fighting, he paid and left. Several hours later the man returns. He throws open the front door, it was a standalone store, and yells, "What kind of shit show are you running here?" He is red in the face and stomps towards me and throws his bag of games onto the counter. "None of these work. This is a shit store. What kind of business?" Man rants and yells at me for a minute or so before he decides to take a breath. I asked him, "You tried the games in your Xbox, PC, and PlayStation and none of them worked?" His reply, "I just got that new player from Walmart this afternoon and none of these games work." Of course, he doesn't know the name of the disc player that he bought was. After several painful minutes and him showing me the Walmart receipt out of his pocket, he bought a DVD player. A woman once asked me to combine 2 different styles of Mylar balloons, a star one and a zebra one specifically, and make her a God bless your home balloon in the back. Florists don't make balloons. This is the same woman who refused to accept, and didn't understand, the concept of sales tax. I shouldn't make fun of my own father, but yesterday he said he likes the internet with the news sites, but he would also like to be able to have the internet where he can shop. Not a customer, but a client, taped an Ethernet cable to the window thinking that it would give them better Wi-Fi reception. What an idiot. Everyone knows you need to tape the whole router to the window. In high school I worked at a local hardware store. We also refilled propane tanks for gas grills. After a summer or two of doing 10 or more tanks a day, you get good at guesstimating how full a tank is just by picking it up. One particularly hot day, a customer comes in and sets his tank down next to me and asks for a fill up. I pick up the tank and inform him that the tank is full and does not need a fill up. He looks pretty agitated already with this short exchange and says that he checked that it was empty and would I just fill it up. To this, I inquired how he checked. There are several ways to check, one being by the weight of the tank, another is the thermal strip on the side, which his tank did not have, the other is to pour hot water down the side and feel where it gets cold. His reply assured me that this was one blithering idiot lucky to be alive. He said he checked it by holding his cigarette lighter in front of the valve and opening it. To this I replied, "You ought to write to your congressman and representative because they saved your life today. This tank has an OPD safety valve on it that prevents the gas from coming out without anything attached." He walked out without another word and with a very red face. I work at a liquor store that has over 5,000 different wines. A while back a woman walked in looking for a specific bottle of wine. When I asked her about the wine she was looking for, she said she remembered that it had a red label. Boy, that sure helped narrow it down. Exactly like working in a library or bookstore. Ah yes, I remember now. The book I was looking for had words in it, I believe. Not mine, but a friend told this story in college, and it always amused me. She worked in a camera store, and this was the early 90s, so pre-digital camera era. This woman comes in, wanting to get some photos developed. She hands my friend the whole camera, not unusual. Apparently a lot of people didn't know how to get the film out after they were done with a roll, so this part wasn't uncommon. My friend examines the camera and, my friend, ma'am, there's no film in here. Woman, that's okay, I still took the pictures. My friend, but there's no film in the camera. Woman, I know, but I took the pictures anyway, so please get them out. My friend, but you would have to have had film in the camera first. Woman, it doesn't matter, I pressed the button. There are pictures in there. Please get them out. And so on, for quite some time. It ended with the woman storming off, convinced my friend was incompetent. When working Windows 98 tech support, I was asked by an older man, "What time does the internet close?" I was so dumbfounded that I couldn't come up with a witty response. I work at a bike shop that sells bicycles and other sporting goods. Very obvious when you walk in the door. Had a guy walk all the way across the shop to the back and say, "I need a chain for my motorcycle." I pause for a minute, look at the flat fix I'm doing, look back at him and say, "Well, I think there's an auto parts store down the street." Then we had to fight about what kind of a bike shop we were for a few minutes. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.